What up? T-Bob here.
And Jake as well.
And look at you. You done stumbled upon little OTB Saints, where we bring you all the latest black and gold coverage.
Who are the Saints going to draft? Who's going to be their quarterback? What does the salary cap look like? All that information and more.
Hope you enjoy it. Like, subscribe.
Now, Jeff, we all know that the quarterback conversation is going to drive almost every team, and certainly the Saints looking to make an upgrade when they bring in Carr. So they've tried to fix that position. What about other positions last year that maybe they struggled with? Do you think they've done enough in the offseason, through free agency, through the draft? We've talked a lot about the tight end position. You bring in Foster Moreau, that feels like a big upgrade at that position to really round out that room. Kind of what are some position keys, battles that you're looking for here in training camp?
Well, there's a bunch of them, Jake. I mean, I think the other corner spot opposite Marshawn Lattimore is going to be fascinating to watch. Alontae Taylor and Paulson Debo, I think, are both capable starters, and that's an open competition. And then I think the key to the whole defense this year is going to be how the defensive line comes along. You know, everybody knows they've lost a ton up front in that front seven, including up-and-coming linebacker like Caden Ellis. And they've got a bunch of replacements, but a lot of them are unproven. You're relying on guys like Peyton Turner to finally emerge. He's yet to do that in the NFL. Carl Granderson showed great promise. Is he going to be the guy? Is he going to take the next step? I'm a little worried about that part of their defense. And as you all know, better than anybody, I mean, if your defensive front isn't effective, everything else, it doesn't really matter. It's all connected. The pass coverage, if the run defense isn't there, the pass coverage, the pass rush isn't there, the pass coverage is going to suffer. So that, to me, is a critical area. And I'm a little worried. I mean, I say this every year, and I'm proven wrong, but I'm a little worried about DeMario Davis and Cam Jordan being in their mid-30s and still playing at an elite level. It's just, at some point, that's going to drop off. So to me, there's a lot of questions with this team, but there's also a lot of reasons to believe that they can win the division. It's going to be a fascinating year, I think.
So, Jeff, I was trying to find this. I can only find it from 2022. We need to update it, but this is from June 23rd, 22, NFL on CBS. That critique of Carr that you're saying that people are telling you about not being able to the game when he plays interesting, because since 2015, Derek Carr has the most game-winning drives in the NFL with 29 and the most fourth-quarter comebacks in the NFL with 23. Now, that was last summer. Maybe he got passed up by someone, but I don't know. Just a bit of an odd disconnect there. You mentioned Peyton Turner, though. And to me, I don't think – I mean, it's weird. When Peyton Turner was drafted, a lot of people said, who is that? And then with his just complete invisibility, I still feel like, who is that? Like, I haven't heard a word about Peyton Turner this entire summer. This is a first-round pick. Are there any expectations for him contributing this year?
I think he's got to. I mean, I think they're definitely – that was probably one of the factors in letting Marcus Davenport go in free agency. They felt good about Carl Granderson and Peyton Turner. They invested in both those players. So they've got to step up. And you know, I know it's a little bit everybody looks at the sack statistics from last year and that the Saints ranked fifth in the league, and people think, oh, you know, their pass rush is fine. Well, it's kind of a little bit misleading because of all the other analytics, hurries, quarterback knockdowns, pressures. They're down at the very bottom of the league. And they lost Caden Ellis. They lost David Onyemata.
Yeah.
You know, Cam Jordan, as we said, is in his mid-30s. I mean, Davenport left. I mean, there's a lot of questions there, in my opinion. And this is a passing league. And that, to me, could be the Achilles heel of this defense if it doesn't materialize, like you said, T-Bob, if Peyton Turner doesn't step up. Now, look, this is a guy that when he's been healthy at camp, we've seen him. He's slippery. He's just got this kind of ability to move his body and get by offensive linemen. He can be a handful when he's healthy, but he just hasn't proven it so far. And I think sometimes with these big linemen, you have to give them time. I've seen it over and over where they come in, it takes 2 or 3 years, and all of a sudden the guy blossoms. It kind of happened with Trey Hendrickson. He was never a real force, and all of a sudden 1 year he just blew up.
How long did it take
I think
Cam?
that could happen.
I'm sorry. How long did it take Cam back today? I'm sorry to interrupt.
Well, Cam's first year, I think he talks about it all the time. He had 1 sack.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. I know he struggled. I know he really struggled at the gates. Did he kick it on second year, or was it third year when he really started to come in?
Second year, but
okay.
I think of even other big guys like Akeem Hicks. You know, the Saints traded him away because he wasn't productive, and he ends up being a Pro Bowler. And Al Woods didn't really
Yeah.
Here got cut.
in camp.
He's still in the league. Yeah, so you can't give up on those guys too quickly. I think it's a mistake, and the Saints I think are smart in investing him in. What I think is going to be interesting is how does that line develop? This is a factor that not a lot of people are talking about. The defensive staff has been overhauled. I mean, Ryan Nielsen was, say what you will, he's a little bit of a different cat, but he was an excellent defensive line coach.
Yeah.
I mean, one of the tops in the league. He's gone. Now they got Todd Grantham in, very well respected, been in the SEC for years. Obviously, a guy that has a track record, but how are they going to develop under him? I mean, we know when you had Ryan Nielsen here that these guys he was going to get the best of them. We don't know. There's another question mark there, how it's going to translate. I think the defensive staff being overhauled is somewhat overlooked factor in this season. I think the whole coaching staff, as a matter of fact, we talk about personnel. It is a players' league, but yet this staff is unproven to me. Without Sean Payton, it's unproven.
Yep.
So that's a question mark.
Hey, I want to ask you, since we're talking defensive line, Jeff, about Brian Brzee. He feels like maybe the most under-talked about first-round pick that I can remember in recent memory for the Saints. And I realize he plays defensive tackle, and so that's not a position that you're going to talk about as much as receiver or even a left tackle in Trevor Penning from a couple of years ago. Where do you see his role kind of starting with this team? Like, is he a rotational piece? You signed a couple of other defensive tackles in free agency. Will they slowly work him in? Where do you kind of see him fitting in, I guess, in the early portion of the season?
I think he's going to end up starting. I don't know if, first day of camp, Jake, if he'll be the guy with the ones or not, but I think they drafted him with the full expectation that he'll be the starter there. The two defensive tackles that were signed, Nathan Shepard and Jalen Saunders, they're more rotational type players. I don't think either one of them has the credentials of, say, David and Onyemata. I think they dropped off at the defensive tackle spot. But they're going to try and stop the run better. That's the key, I think, with this whole defense. It dropped off a cliff a year ago, and they've got to be able to stop the run. And I think Brzee, the thing I noticed about him, great hand usage, very explosive, very quick off the ball. I think that's a guy that if he lives up to the expectations, I mean, he was the number one recruit coming out of high school. This is a guy that, that could go a long way to replacing Onyemata and some of the things he did inside.
I mean, Brzee, Turner, Penning. I mean, there's a lot of first-round picks with a lot on their shoulders today. Wow, just amazing black and gold takes right there, Jake.
I don't think I've ever heard any takes that are better than the two guys that just gave you that take.
And you can keep getting them by going ahead and liking, subscribing, ringing the bell to get notifications when we post. Have a great day. We'll see you on the next OTB Saints.